Ah, it's here, bro.
Oh man, I know y'all see the background. You see everything is it's a little darker, and it's for good reason. There's 100% of me thinks we finna be in that thing blacked out, black hat,
Black
black jersey,
out.
black socks, black cleats. Look, and hopefully we black out these Kentucky Wildcats. But y'all, today is the Who is Kentucky episode. Listen, y'all,
Yes,
we
sir.
got a great guest coming up later in the show. My boy, our boy, Lance Asher will be joining us. Man, all I gotta say is it's Kentucky week, baby. Let's go.
To Northander, set the race onto the field. The Bottoms will be boarding the giant sea that stretches from that north inbound on a cold day, becoming Lando as the Big Orange sets the race on the Shield Buskins Field, ladies and gentlemen, and wherever you are.
Man, you know, Turner, it is easy to get up for a week like this, bro.
It is.
Like, it's easy to get, like, as a fan, and I know as a player, it is easy to get up for a game like this. 7 p.m., Neyland Stadium, Halloween weekend, and you got an alternate uniform that's kind of spicy.
First night game since Akron, bro.
It's been some games. It's been some games.
And Akron ain't a big game.
No, this one has the hype surrounding it like unbelievably, and I can't wait, man.
Yeah.
So, man, we're gonna be in that thing tailgating all day Saturday, boy.
All day.
I'm talking about from 6:30 when we hop up in the big boy lariat. You know what I'm talking about? And we gonna ride over to the garage, man. Bro, I'm just so excited. I think that this game, and I've said this a lot this year, but because this is the next big game, like this one to me is even more important. The Florida game, and let me explain. The Florida game was like, let's get over the hump as a program, right?
Right, for sure.
The Alabama game was like, I think we really can do it. So let's just do it. And we did.
Yeah.
And now this Kentucky game is more like, oh, if we get over this one, I feel like I'm walking in the next week against Georgia kind of like, what can happen? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro, for sure. 100%.
So, I mean, y'all, while we're right here, man, like, comment, subscribe, join the channel. Listen, I know we've said this in our previous video, but even our previous podcast, we are now on all platforms. So not just YouTube where we started. You can now find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, on Anchor. You can just literally type in Straight Up Tennessee and we are going to pop up, man. Build the volume of that thing, build the audience for that thing, man. Soon, actually, through our Anchor channel on our Anchor podcast channel. Lord, that was kind of hard to say. On our Anchor podcast channel, we're going to actually be able to allow some subscriptions. So if you want to financially support the podcast so that we're able to do more giveaways, honestly, you supporting the show is us being able to give you more things. Like
for sure.
The giveaway straight out of the pockets, like no money intended. Like we were just like, let's do this thing because we want to push the brand, but we also just want people to rock Straight Up Tennessee and rock with us for a long time. So again, on the giveaway, man, on Friday, October 28th, that is the last day you can enter. We will draw all of the names on Saturday during the Kentucky game. We'll be tailgating. So literally on our Instagram, we'll take a story. Me and Turner will be tailgating on campus, and we're going to let you know who the winners are. So if you ain't following us on Instagram, there's the plug. Go ahead and follow us on all of that. So,
yes, sir.
But man, it's Tuesday. Yesterday, Josh Heupel had his first press conference of the week. They also met with Hendo Cinco. Man, I know that you've had the opportunity to listen to Hendon Hooker speak, even in your church setting. And you can just feel when he speaks, like, and I'm not even trying to get churchy here, but you can feel like he radiates the presence of God. Like he's just such a subtle, calm, like collected dude. And he's not just like that on the field. Like that's just him, you know?
Absolutely.
And
100%. Very
so,
respective guy. I mean, super, super chill too. I mean, but hey, one thing about Hendo, seen a different side of Hendo on the field this year.
oh, facts. But I think he had to be. He had to be
Yeah.
that dog. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Eating.
Yeah. Eating, bruh. Hey, I know you saw the press conference when they asked him, man, like, well, have you seen these things out of Jalin Hyatt? He's this, he's that, he's maybe the best dressed on the team. He said, he looked at him like, are you sure? He said, maybe top 3, top 5 best dressed. He said, all right, yeah. And I was like, man, that's just funny, dude, because Hendon do come dripped out every game. Dripped
Absolutely.
out. Josh Heupel, man, gave some great updates, bro. Looking super forward because I feel like Cedric Tillman and Jalen McCullough are going to get the go this week, man.
I think Kamal Hatton's going to get a go too. Listening to the Volquest guys earlier today, I think Kamal Hatton's going to go too, and I think that'll help us.
He's getting some reps this week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, Kamal Hatton getting some reps. Christian Charles still kind of up in the air.
I'm also hearing Turnage is probably going to get the go as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, hey, man, I've always been a big Turnage fan. He's kind of been a letdown this year a little bit, but hey, I'm always a fan, and it's time. It's now or never for him. He is like the Ramel Keaton of defense.
He is, and though, don't you always feel like he steps up in a game like this?
Yes, for sure.
Like,
there's just something different. I mean, I don't know. Just as much as I would do playing sports growing up. There's a big difference from being a starter and just being in the rotation.
Facts.
You know what I mean? I don't mean that in a bad way. Not saying that you're not going to play as good coming off the bench, but it's just something about like, yeah, this is me. It's mine. I'm ready to play.
Oh yeah. And I think with that comes more opportunity, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not only does the opportunity come, but I feel like he has the opportunity then to say, hey, am I going to do this thing or am I not? And I feel like Brandon Turner's, like you've said for so long, bro, he's a gamer, and it's a competition thing. Same with Kamal Hatton, bro. Kamal Hatton is not going to allow you to like outpunk him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Here's your question about the offensive side of the ball real quick. Tillman plays, okay?
Yeah.
I think maybe it's just me. I think it's pretty even between Tillman and Keaton for this Kentucky game when it comes to reps.
If we're smart, absolutely. Because I don't think this is a game you give Cedric Tillman 79, 85 snaps his first game back. I'm playing honestly, I'm probably playing between that 30 and 38 number. Because next week against Georgia, he's playing 80 snaps. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think it's important to almost put him on a minutes restriction like they would in basketball.
Yeah, because we know at the end of the day, and I know he ain't about getting his, but at the end of the day, he does 35, 40 snaps. He's going to get his in those 35, 40 snaps.
Oh, yeah. All he needs is 10 because Hendon going to throw it to him all 10 times.
Every time. Yeah, that's Hendon's dude.
But who knows now, man? I think now, obviously earlier in the year, it was his kind of security blanket. Now, as everything has kind of blossomed, I feel bad for anybody that has to play us at this point. Because
I do too, man.
Oh man, it's gonna be scary.
Do you see that stat where Jalin Hyatt has more touchdowns than Georgia?
Some teams, yes.
Georgia's whole team, South Carolina's whole team.
Yes, bro. It's insane, dude. Like
I don't know.
Legitimately, we are cooking.
It's crazy. And the craziest thing is, Hendon Hooker said it. not in this press conference, but I think it was last week or the week before. I think it was last week. He said, "Man, we ain't even played our best ball yet," and that's just scary to think about.
It is scary to think about. That's the thing is like, if you got our guys saying that, like, and truly believing it, y'all, somebody better call 911 because that's crazy to me. Absolutely insane. But y'all, it's Kentucky week. We got my man Lance on the thing. Lance Asher's coming in, and y'all listen. This next 2 segments, obviously, we're gonna kind of format this thing just like we did when Steven came on the show for the Who is Alabama. We're gonna literally talk 10-15 minutes. And let me say this, we're going to try because we know how this conversation goes, man. It gets lit. It gets fun. We get engaged. We get mad at each other because we start talking. But, we start talking all things Kentucky. Who is Kentucky? Offensive, defensive side. Who's some guys we need to look forward to? And who do we need to stop in order to win the game? But then also we'll talk any interesting stats that Kentucky has done or embarked on in this season that Tennessee also needs to look out for. Man, I'm ready to get Lance up in this thing. So, Turn, you ready to get this thing rolling, baby?
All right, let's go.
Hey, it's time for the Who is Kentucky. Let's go. Yo, y'all, welcome back to the show. And you see somebody is on this thing now, my man Lance. Lance, what's up, bro?
Hey, brother. How's it
going? Man, bro, it's going better now, man. This is our Who is Kentucky show, man. We do one of these at the top of every week when whoever Tennessee's playing, and we just so happen to be playing them Wildcats this week. And the first person, you can ask Turner, I said Lance is coming on the show, period.
Lance got to get on the show.
I'm honored. I've lived in Knoxville my entire life as a Kentucky fan, and I still even like today, I'm like, man, I just wish I had some people I could vibe with about this, It's just there's not enough of us around. I mean, there's a lot. There's a shocking amount, really, but man, I have listened to a few episodes of y'all's show so far, and I've really enjoyed it. I didn't always love football. Like, I grew up in a house where Kentucky basketball was, and still is, really, frankly, the number one thing that I care about. But and we can get into all this later, but I'm jumping ahead. But just as somebody who grew up a fan of Kentucky, and then being able to kind of grow up and watch what Mark Stoops has done, for me as a genuine fan, it's the first thing that I sort of fell into on my own. I was born with Kentucky basketball. That's the way it was. But I found Kentucky football in a different way, way later in life, which I think is super cool. So thanks for having me on. I guess
no, that works perfect because I was going to ask, I was like, man, tell the people about you, but there it is right there.
There it is, man. There it is.
But okay, I'll tell people a little bit about Lance though, just a little. So Lance and I were on staff at a church back home together for some years. And what he just told you is so true about him find the football thing. Dude, it's never been when I first met Lance, he hated football. Not even, I wouldn't even say hated. It was just I'm not interested.
I hated it. I vocally and outspokenly hated it. And honestly, I have no idea where all the vitriol was coming from. No one hurt me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't play football when I was younger because I just was terrible at it.
Yeah.
I played 1 year of Pee Wee football when I was in 5th grade, and I got hit one day at practice by a kid who was 1 year older than me, and I literally quit that day, and I never played football ever again.
I'm done. He said, I'm done.
He said, I'm out.
Toast, man. I'm toast.
I'm Audi 500.
But no, you're right. I did not. I really didn't like it. And I don't even really know why. Maybe it's just because I didn't have anything to live for with Kentucky football.
I mean, that's facts.
We're talking Rich Brooks era, Joker Phillips. I'm the only person who should even know those names. You know what I mean? We had terrible coaches for a long time, and God bless them for giving it a shot. But Mark Stoops all the way, baby.
Hey. Well, look, y'all, man, we're gonna dive right in, man, to this first segment where we're literally just gonna dial in who the heck is Kentucky in 2022. We know last year, man, that this Kentucky team, we honestly crushed their dreams, to be honest. And
you really did. You really
I mean, they were number 11 in the nation at the time. Tennessee comes to Kroger Field, and just I can't even explain it.
It was the most Kentucky football thing I've ever seen.
I mean, yeah, Tennessee did what they were supposed to do.
Really did.
And then what happens is in 2022, this Kentucky team is still solid, but they did lose a lot of firepower. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about this, Lance. Who is Kentucky? And let's start about who is Kentucky offensively. When we talk about on the offensive side of the football, who is Kentucky in 2022?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure anybody with eyeballs would say that it's Will Levis. He's the best example that I've seen in a long time of like hard work and talent both rising to the top. You know what I mean? Like he's not the most athletic person on the field, but like I'm probably going to catch heat for this, but like he reminds me of Tim Tebow in some ways, where he has like that, just the tenacity to do literally anything to win. And you can tell that there's nothing that he can't stand to lose. You know, I think that's like the most important thing. So if he's healthy on Saturday, like I'm not going to say we're going to win the game, but I do think it's a game, and it's literally because of him. So who is Kentucky offensively? First, it's Will Levis. And then if you get past Will, I think that it has to be Chris Rodriguez, who I don't know if all the UT fans are up on the drama, but Chris Rodriguez didn't play for the first 4 games of the season because he was sort of suspended, not suspended. Nobody could get a straight answer out of the NCAA, but he was arrested for a DUI in May, and it was just carrying over. And it was kind of like a dark cloud on the beginning of the season because we did start pretty hot. You know, like when we beat Florida in week 3, I was like, yeah, baby, you know,
right?
We've got something going here. And then, the whole, every Kentucky beat writer, every fan, or everyone was saying the same thing. It's like, dude, when Chris Rodriguez gets back on the field, like we are all gas, no brakes. And then we just laid a freaking egg against Ole Miss and beat ourselves, which that was a tough one. And then to go out the next week and just lose to South Carolina, I've only felt that deflated a few times. I mean, it was just hard to watch. And obviously Will Levis didn't play in that game. Our backup quarterback got a stab at it. And I mean, you know, the poor kid, he didn't do horrible. But I think one of the main talking points for the offense, though, for Kentucky this year, and this is a weird juxtaposition from literally the last 8 years or so, our offensive line this year is just not up to snuff. Like, it figures the one time we have like a top 5 NFL pick at quarterback, you know, which never happens to Kentucky. Like, it figures that his senior year, like when he's rounding into form, you know, we have an offensive line who just can't hang, and that's not what we've had in the past few years. I mean, big blue wall is like, that's like been our thing, you know. And a little Easter egg here. I don't know if everybody's like up to speed on this either, but we had our offensive line coach for several years under Mark Stoops. His name was John Schlarman. He had a long battle with cancer a couple of years ago, and like the whole team was kind of around him, and it was like I think it was the whole team, you know, and then he ended up passing away, and so we've had a few, you know, 2 seasons without him now, and it is kind of, I'm bummed as a fan to say that, like, it seems like some of the tenacity of that offensive line kind of has dwindled. And, you know, we got young kids, we got injured guys, and, you know, there's a million reasons why. But, you know, who is Kentucky offensively? It's Will Levis, Chris Rodriguez, and it literally just has to be that offensive line. They got to beef it up, especially this Saturday. If nothing else, I genuinely, as a fan, I'd rather beat Tennessee and lose to Georgia if I could have it my way.
Hey, that's the thing.
Yeah,
I agree with you. It is totally acceptable. And the thing about it is this game, and we'll talk about this later, but the reason that I'm not nervous at all about this game. I am nervous because it's the next one, and it is Kentucky. And it's just like Kentucky's like always, they're going to play, put it this way, Kentucky's going to play their best game of the entire year on Saturday.
Got to.
But everything is against them. A night game at Neyland, I don't want to play there.
Nobody wants that.
I mean, dude, night game at Neyland, I'm pretty sure we're gonna be wearing the dark mode uniforms. Like, it's just gonna be like, it's just gonna be crazy in there. And so, but still, Kentucky's probably gonna play their best game all year. But
I know that they want to, and that's what gives me some glimmer of hope.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Turn.
No, and you talking about the offensive line, I think that's huge for Kentucky this week. If offensive line can protect Will Levis, I think Kentucky's got a shot.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Oh, they'll hang around, and that's 100%. The worst thing that can happen. You can't let them hang around.
No.
And not just protect Will Levis, but if y'all's offensive line is doing good, that means y'all's run game is doing good. So therefore,
that's where Chris Rodriguez comes in play.
Y'all are pretty even. So y'all are running on us. Y'all are throwing on us. It's just we got to get pressure on Will Levis because Will Levis ain't no Bryce Young. I think we all know that.
Oh yeah.
I think everybody's on board with that now. Like, Kentucky fans all season, man, have been like, "What is everybody talking about?" Like, Bryce Young's not a bad player. Please don't get me wrong, but like, dude, if you're building a team, like, you want Will Levis all day long, man.
He's just massive.
But I will say, Hendon Hooker is no slouch by any stretch, and I have to be honest, and I really don't like Tennessee. Y'all know that. So I was not going to give you guys any credit at all until I watched that game last Saturday, and man, that kid is unbelievable. Hendon Hooker is the stuff, bro, and y'all got a good one in that kid.
Yes, we did. But keeping this one rolling, when we talk about Kentucky on the defensive side of the football, what do they bring to the table this year? Obviously, we know they got a top 15 defense. Who are some of those kids that contribute to them being successful? Who are those guys, and who do we need to look for?
Yeah, I think I got a funky cable going on. My bad. I think there's a couple of guys. It's weird this year. Our defense, in the years past, I feel like we've always had like one guy who's like just clearly the leader of our defense. A couple years ago, we had Josh Allen, who ended up being a top 5 draft pick for the Dolphins. Like, he was clearly like the heart and soul of the defense. I mean, that kid was unbelievable. When we've had some other guys in years past, I don't know if we have that this year, and it could just be it's just not as clear at the moment. We have a lot of underclassmen, and so to answer your question, there's the guys I would look to would be all the upperclassmen, because in what I've noticed as a fan over the last few years, in games like this where it's like it's emotional, it's all on the line. And for some of these guys, they're starting to see the end of their senior season. Like, those are the kids who usually turn these games around. And so, you're talking about a couple of OGs, DeAndre Square, JJ Weaver, they're both linebackers. Goodness gracious, this Mike. You got Carrington Valentine at quarterback. He's been one of our best corners all year long. But even more than that, there's a kid named Kadron Smith who is he's a transfer this year. He's been lighting it up. He's a senior as well. This is his first season with us, and so those are the few guys. I know it's kind of a long list, but I think upperclassmen got to come through in this game, and then you're going to get a couple of like crazy plays from some of the young guys. But I think it's all those guys I just mentioned that are going to be the difference makers, and they have to be, because they got to set that tone early and go for it.
Yeah, I think that's great as far as even talking about playmakers. Like, we know offensively for Kentucky, it's Will Levis, Chris Rodriguez, and I would even venture to say a little bit of Barryon Brown, the freshman wide receiver from Nashville.
Especially on special teams, man. He's been busting it up.
Special teams is going to decide this game, I feel like, a lot.
And that's an area we've honestly struggled this year.
And so, and then defensively, you just mentioned all of those guys. So, like, as we kind of round this first segment out, talking about just who Kentucky is, are there any like eye-popping stats from this year? Really, since honestly, I saw Kentucky play Miami of Ohio. I saw them play South Carolina. I saw them play Ole Miss, and I was just like, oh God, okay. And the biggest eye-popping thing for me in Kentucky is they don't score a lot of points. And you're about to play a team. You're about to play a team that averages the most points.
Yeah.
In the country.
Yeah.
So it's like something's got to
Yeah.
give here. But let's talk. Let's like what kind of stats are we talking about this year?
Yeah, well, that was gonna be my first mention. I mean, I looked it up here. I've got points for Kentucky. We've got 185 points against. We have 115. I would like to see that gap widen,
Right.
because I do think that's going to be an issue. We've had two weeks in a row now. We just had a bye week, obviously coming in, but the 2 games before in Ole Miss and South Carolina, we struggled to score the ball.
Yeah.
Like the only time I saw us look okay offensively was really the second half against South Carolina, or sorry, not South Carolina. I'm just blanking on who we just played after that we won. Mississippi State.
Mississippi State, yep.
In the second half of that, and we played like trash in the first half. I don't know if you guys watched any of that game. I mean, it was like 7-7 and going into halftime. And I was like, what is happening? I cannot understand what I'm seeing here. And in the second half, we ended up, playing a lot better, and it was okay. But we have that is a stat that concerns me, is that we have not scored a lot of points this season. Now, granted, I am going to throw the caveat that Chris Rodriguez didn't play for the first couple games. And he has only scored 3 touchdowns since he's been back, which I think that's a little low. We need him to do what Benny Snell did for us a couple years ago. Like, we need him to be that dog. You know what I mean? Like, nothing can stop me. Nothing is given. Everything's earned, like ground and pound. And I think he has that mentality. I think he just needs to see a couple go through and get hot in a game, because that's usually, even last season when he was a junior, if he had a game where he scored 2 touchdowns in the first half, you could just about bet he was going to score 2 more.
Sure.
But if he doesn't have any touchdowns by halftime, you might as well bet he won't get any. And that's the inconsistency of that definitely concerns me, that he's only scored 3 touchdowns since he's been back. So those are a couple stats that stand out for sure.
And I'll tell you what, I found 2 stats that really stuck out to me about Kentucky. One really good and then one not so good. You're kind of talking about the offensive line. Kentucky's gave up 26 sacks this year so far. But on the defensive side of the ball, I thought this was pretty impressive. Y'all have created 8 turnovers, and when y'all play teams, y'all are holding them on third downs to 31%, which is pretty impressive.
It's literally been the saving grace in a lot of our games. If you've watched a lot of them start to finish, dude, making stops on third down have been absolutely massive for us. And it's what should have won us the Ole Miss game, and we blew it twice with a penalty, and we had a touchdown come back for, I can't even remember what now. I was so mad. But I mean, but those big stops on third down have been huge for us, and it kind of has to be huge for us on Saturday to have a chance.
Oh yeah, for sure. Man, this game, we know what this game means. Like, some people in Vol Nation say we are Kentucky's daddy, and Kentucky hates that. I'm telling you, Lance just got mad. He just got mad. So
I'm mad because of how much validity you have to your statement. That's what I'm mad about. Like, that's what I'm mad about.
Hey, listen, y'all, when we come back, man, right now, we're going to talk just straight ball. Just talk what we really think about this game. We done the analysts. We've looked at the analytics. We've looked at what this game looks like on paper, but now it's just homies chopping it up. So when we get back, we'll finish this thing out, and it's going to be a great rest of the Who Is Kentucky episode. We'll be right back. Great first segment with you, Lance, bro. It's time to get it popping again. Listen, we talking straight ball. Like, everything from what do we actually expect as fans? Because we have to remind ourselves, and I don't even have to remind myself, but I have to remind the people that are listening to us, we are fans.
Yeah,
we ain't paid. We ain't paid to talk about this. Lord, I wish I was. I'd quit all my jobs.
Bro,
I would have been quit every job, but that's not the case.
Yeah.
So we are just fans who love these teams, and honestly, it's like these 2 schools, for each his own, it's all we've known, bro. And so when we look at Saturday, man, it is a 7 p.m. kick in Neyland Stadium. Before we even dive into just the implications and the excitement and the environment, like, let's just talk about the history of this Tennessee and Kentucky football rivalry. These guys have been playing for almost 100 years.
Yeah.
And Tennessee has heavily been on the victorious side of this rivalry. Some even here say, is this a rivalry? Like, not even the question of is it, but it's like, I mean, is it actually? And so I believe I saw something earlier today that Tennessee has won 86 games total and Kentucky has won 24 or 26
that sounds about
games
right.
total. The longest streak for Tennessee is 24, and the longest streak for Kentucky was 4 games. And so when you look at like history, I mean, Turner, you got some good little things about this too. What do we call this game?
Oh man, I just said it.
It's the Battle of the Barrel.
Yeah, the beer barrel.
The beer barrel.
Yeah, beer barrel. Yeah.
And like they're saying, we got to bring the barrel back. I'm like, somebody's like, that barrel ain't been back for years.
Yeah.
So,
True that.
I mean, when you talk about history, Tennessee has handled this game.
Yeah.
But in recent years, again, Mark Stoops has got this Kentucky club playing at a level that some would say, like, watch out. And then others are like, it's just Kentucky. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's been hard. Even last year when we played Kentucky, I felt like that right before that game is when you started to see Tennessee kind of take this little like hump in the season.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And then playing Kentucky and coming out of that game with a win was like, oh snap, okay, Josh Heupel is different.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the history speaks for itself, but I mean, Saturday, there's a lot on the line Saturday. I think
big time
for both teams. Kentucky wins this game. Wow. What does it do for their resume, and where does it place them in BCS bowl like conversations? Tennessee loses this game. How far do they drop out of the top 5?
Mm-hmm.
Where do they go? But Tennessee wins this game. Kentucky's out of the top 25. What does that do for their season at that point? What does that do for Will Levis's draft stock? Like, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that play into this, but like, what are y'all seeing like Saturday as keys, you know?
Man, everything you said is right. I think to your first point about the rivalry or whatever you want to, I think that it speaks to like something larger about sports that we all love, but we never talk about. And I think that fans make rivalries. History doesn't necessarily make rivalries.
Yeah.
Like if you look at this football game, like there's no history to support any kind of, you know, anything. Like Tennessee shouldn't be worried about it. Kentucky shouldn't care either. They just should expect to get beat. But, you know, with the fans, and I think it does have a lot to do with the proximity. And that's what I think people who don't live in this part of the country don't understand about Kentucky and Tennessee is how close it is. My grandma on my mom's side lives in Virginia, and you have to drive through the corner of Kentucky to get there. Like that's what we're dealing with here. So like, I think with the fans living so close, I think that is what makes the rivalry so fun. I have family members that live in Kentucky that are Tennessee fans, and I have family members that live in Tennessee as Kentucky fans. And, you know, that's just how I've always grown up. So, I think that's what makes this game so emotional, though, even in a season, especially in a season like this, where Tennessee has so much to win and so much to lose in this game, you know, or at least that's how I perceive it. You know, I think I wouldn't ever say that this game means more than that Alabama game last week, but I do think that it doubles down. If Tennessee wins this game, like you commanded respect last weekend, this week you demand it, you know, if you win this game, I think. And conversely, if Kentucky manages to win this game, like you just can't completely count us out. And I think that's really the best we could hope for the rest of our season. To answer your second question, like what's on the line, like this is not going to be remembered as a breakout season when, you know, we went 10-3 a couple years ago, that when Josh Allen was a senior, you know, now we've won 3 straight bowl games going into this season, which is a stat that's probably worth noting. I mean, like this is rare in the history of Kentucky football that we're even talking about a ranked team. Are you kidding me? You know, like this is crazy. So I think that's what's on the line. Like Tennessee doubles down on the respect that it has earned if they win. And I think that Kentucky chips away at national respect. It'll take so much more for us to really get it. And I that's fine. You know, we have to be okay with that. But it's just funny then that this game, like, you know, Kentucky's we're 5-2. It's the season already is kind of like, ugh, that South Carolina loss really just took the wind out, man. And so if we win this game, though, it's one of those things where, like, you know what, season may not be the best, but by God, at least we beat Tennessee. that's literally enough for Kentucky fans, and that's why it's a rivalry. I would never argue that it isn't. I think it absolutely is, and that right there is why. Because we could lose every other game this whole season, and if we beat Tennessee, like, we would parade in the streets like idiots, and you couldn't stop us. And I don't even know why, but that's just the way it is, man.
Yeah.
And I think there's more on the line for Tennessee than the Alabama game, in my personal opinion. I mean, the Alabama game, you're getting bragging rights. Of course, you used to beat Bama, and it's one of our biggest rivals. Could be our biggest rival, depending who you talk to. But Alabama's in the West. You lose to a West opponent, it's
don't matter.
Matter. Pat on the back.
And it's out. So, like, it's like, oh, well, it's okay. They lost to Alabama, But then if you lose to Kentucky, it's like, God, Kentucky.
Yeah, because you lose to Kentucky. I mean, you don't. It takes where you might be able to lose to Georgia and still get in the playoff. But if you lose to Kentucky, you got to win out to even have a chance at doing anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you guys in Georgia are the last two, like, really tough games for us. So if we can get out 1-1, for us, solid end of the season, let's go win that fourth bowl game in a row. Like, I think that's kind of the best we could hope for at this point. We certainly don't have any CFP hopes.
Yeah.
And as a Tennessee fan, Tennessee's been made fun of so much in the past. And, I think there's a lot on this game for Tennessee in the aspect of, if we lose to Kentucky, everybody owes to Tennessee.
Yeah,
you won't Tennessee.
You won't hear the end of it.
Yeah,
no, it's just the same old Tennessee that we've seen. They just got lucky against Bama, and they played their good games. And here's the old Tennessee coming back.
I think good grief, this thing. Anybody who's a real fan of this sport, even if Tennessee loses a close game to Kentucky and both teams play well, anybody who's a fan of football wouldn't actually feel that way, even if they would say it to bust your chops. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
There is still a level of a good game's just a good game, and that never gets any, like, there's never any nuance in that conversation, right? By the people who are occupying that space, talking about it and blowing smoke. But if Tennessee loses a tight, close game on Saturday, anybody who's a real fan of football would see that for what it was. And I think Tennessee's still one of the top 5 best teams in the country, even if you lose this game.
Yeah. Yeah, they're playing on a different level, and, like, it just moves perfectly into, like, I'm not expecting to lose Saturday. Not because Kentucky's not good, but because, dude, like, I've seen Tennessee have bad moments in games.
Yeah.
Alabama, it's 42-42. We fumble a miss exchange. Dallas Turner picks it up and runs it into the end zone. 49-42. Old Tennessee of old folds, and we just
Done.
like, it's over.
I said the same thing when I was watching the game. I was beside myself. I was like, I've never seen a Tennessee football game, and I'm 28 years old. I've lived in Knoxville the whole time. I've never seen Tennessee football win a game like that with my own eyes.
No,
ever.
You ain't wrong.
No. Maybe Georgia when Joanne
the Hail Mary.
Taught the Hail Mary. Maybe that, but even still, I think this game was even more insane. And so I don't have a ton to be confident in. Even as good as I believe our team is on Saturday, I think you're well within your right as a fan to say I'm not. I think you should expect to win. I want to win.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but, like, on paper, Tennessee is clearly the better team. Anybody with eyeballs would have to agree. So we have to do our best.
It's just like I kind of look at it as I'm trying not to be Tennessee biased here as a Tennessee fan. I'm trying to look at it just as a football game. But I think we're such different football teams. Like, you got Kentucky, who's going to try to hold the ball for 40 minutes and just try to run it and pound it and snap the ball with 2 seconds on the play clock every single time. And then you got Tennessee, who's they want to score in 30 seconds. And I just like
and they
I've
can.
I've said it since day one. If we have to be in a scoring battle with any team, I'll take our chances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that I
Yeah.
mean, you proved your own point last Saturday. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
absolutely.
You get in
Yeah.
a shootout. You got in a shootout with a national powerhouse and a Heisman winner, and you won it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's where that stat we talked about earlier comes back into play of how many points we haven't scored. Like, I don't feel great about a shootout. Now, if we can force your offense to struggle at least somewhat,
Mhm.
and then if we can get, I think we're going to complete every 5-yard pass that we throw, to be completely honest with you. I
You
think that's
will.
one of the glaring deficiencies of your defense, of which there are not many. But like, if we have to use that to our advantage and expose that pass coverage basically every play until Chris Rodriguez can just run the ball down your throat. Otherwise, we've got no shot.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's like I said, like we've had a lot of bad moments this year, and this team has just like not cared about the moment. Like it's like,
Yeah.
well, let's regroup and let's
You
figure it
shake it
out.
off. You shake it off.
And that has not been a characteristic of this team, even when we were beating Kentucky with Dooley and
Yeah.
like it just wasn't like that. And so that's what I'm like, okay, these guys are hungry, and that's why I'm like, I'm not nervous about the game. I'm just one of the every week I get anxious. I'm just like, I'm just ready to go. Just let's get to Neyland Stadium. Let me get to my seat.
Yeah.
Let me sit down with a hot dog in my hand.
Yes, sir.
And let's get locked in. So, man, but I want to pose this question. Okay. Can Kentucky win this game? Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I would say yes.
What has to happen for that to happen? Tennessee has to literally play the worst game we've ever seen them play, in my opinion. I think Tennessee, and this is me not even as a Tennessee fan. This is me talking football. Tennessee can play. Let me say it this way. Tennessee can play at like 85% and win this game. If they play at 85% and it's just like, it just wasn't the best game and they come out with the win, it's just because, like we've talked about, they're just better on paper, right?
Yeah, totally.
But if they continuously penalties, shoot themselves in the foot, turnovers, stuff like that, game's over. I promise you.
Yeah.
You can't recoup from that.
I think turnovers was going to be my big thing there. I mean, I think that's going to be a commanding part of the game. And Austin, you mentioned Kentucky's forced 8. I don't recall off the top of my head how many have been run back for a touchdown, but I know it's more than one. So we've got, Keydron Smith, like I mentioned, like he's that guy he'll snag it and run it back, and he's quick. So, for us to win the game, I think it's like what you said. One, Will Levis does have to play 100%. Whether Tennessee plays 85, 95, or whatever, Will Levis has to be 100%. We have to expose the defensive deficiency in the passing game on your all's end. If we get a couple of those, like, Barry on Brown. One name we haven't mentioned yet because he's a freshman, Dane Key, has been nuts this year, and that kid's, and he's a freshman. So sometimes he's the kid who in these games will just all of a sudden be that guy. And if we've got Will Levis throwing, 50-yard touchdowns to Dane Key and Barry and Brown and, Tavion Richardson, these other guys, like, I think that's where if we were ever going to win a shootout, it would take every single person on offense playing their best game. And I'm not 100% confident that we can achieve that because of what we lack on our offensive line. So it's like you said earlier, Austin, like if we can't protect Will Levis in the first place, then we can't get any explosive plays. And I know that Tennessee is going to have these plays. Like you can bank on it. So like it's not a game where we can say if we can just hold them to 14 points or 21 points, we can win. It's can we keep them from scoring 28 or more? I think.
Yeah.
And if we can, I think we can win.
Absolutely. I think Kentucky can win this game 100%. But I think for Kentucky to win this game, I could sit here and talk about it all day, what Kentucky would have to do. But when it comes down to it, for Kentucky to stand a chance in this game, they're going to have to win in the trenches. They're going to have to protect Will Levis. They're going to have to form a running game. Like, for Kentucky to win, our defense is going to have to barely be walking. They're so tired after y'all's drives.
Absolutely. And if we string together a couple of those 8-minute drives, man, I mean, I've seen it happen. I think it's what happened to Mississippi State. I mean, you could tell some of those dudes were tired, because we were out on the field for just eternity. But it's a double-edged sword, right? I mean, we're out there; these kids are working so hard, and if it takes you 12 minutes to score 7 points, it only takes Tennessee, 3 minutes or less. I don't know what your average time of possession is, but it can't be a lot.
Yeah, that ain't a lot.
That's not the way we win this game. We can't trade those drives, because you'll get so much more of them. So we have to be balanced on both sides of the ball, really. And honestly, Tennessee has to just not play well, I think, for us to win.
Yeah.
We stack up those penalties, like all those little things have to go right. Who knows, man? Could be magic for me.
Yeah, bro. Hey, there's two things, man. As we kind of round this episode out, man, we got 2 questions, bro, that we ask on every Who Is, okay? So, Lance, we're going to start with you, bro. I can probably assume what you're going to say, but who is your playmaker of the game for Kentucky? Offense first, then defense. Who has to be that dude for Kentucky to win this game?
Yeah, I will not change my answer from Will Levis. I think that he's the one. It really does start with him, man. I mean, and if you want proof, go back and watch the South Carolina game. I mean, everybody else was playing, just had a different quarterback, and it was not the same team, bro. It's bad. So it's got to be him. I think he's got to. I think he has to score passing and rushing touchdowns, and I know he can do it. I know that he wants to do it, and it was one of my favorite memories of last season was against when we played Louisville, which is always like a heated game for us because you want to talk about rivalries. That's a good one. And dude, he just absolutely embraced the hate. You know what I mean? Because Louisville fans absolutely despise Kentucky in a way that's inconceivable unless you have a similar rivalry. And and so I think he has to have that same mentality in this game, though, because it's like you said, this is a night game at Neyland Stadium, and unless you're from here, you don't understand.
No,
it's not a place that anybody wants to play, and every team in the world would be like, no, it's not that bad, or whatever. But it's not an easy place to win a game, and so it's going to take Will Levis being an absolute menace and a demon on the field, for us to win this game offensively. I think he has to be the difference maker first.
Yeah.
But with the caveat that it really just can't be all on him,
Yeah. Yeah. Then defensively, who's that dude for Kentucky?
Yeah, I want to go with Kadron Smith, the transfer senior. He's just an interesting one because he's still new to the team, so he does in some ways he has he's just fresh in a way that some of these other guys aren't. But I've seen, again, as a fan of Kentucky football, we get a lot of transfers. And so I've seen guys come in like this, for a senior season, they just need a shot. And that's the thing, man, that kid has nothing to lose. So yeah. I think he's going to cut loose because he knows that he can be the difference maker of the game, because you have to stop Hendon Hooker from connecting these passes. And so if you're that guy who's going to, understand the assignment, so to speak, I think he's going to be the one to change the game. And so, I mean, I know there's a couple other guys, and those upperclassmen that I mentioned, I mean, they have to play a part. But I think if Kadron Smith has a game where, he picks off 2, he runs 1 back or whatever, even that, I think is going to be a monumental difference maker for the game.
For sure.
Turn, what about you, bro? What we got to do? Who's the guys for Tennessee in order for this to be a W, bro?
Man, you know how I am. I don't like picking people. I like picking position groups, but I'm gonna pick a person.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna pick my position group.
Okay.
Defensive side of the ball, Byron Young.
Yeah.
I think we get pressure on Will Levis. I think he tends to fold, not all the time. I think he tends to fold under pressure sometimes, and he'll throw an interception. He's not saying all the time.
He's already thrown 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if we can get pressure on Will Levis, I think it'll force him to completely get out of their game, 100%. Offensive side of the ball, I hate to be cliche, but I'm gonna have to say Hendon Hooker, man. I mean, this offense rides on Hendon Hooker, rides or dies by him.
Yeah, you got to.
If he ain't playing good, offense ain't playing good.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say Hendon Hooker.
Yeah. For me, man, I am going to say, with the hopefulness that he is back on the field, it's Cedric Tillman for me.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't play. I hope he doesn't play.
I know. I know you don't. And the reason I need Cedric is because I need him to be the biggest decoy ever.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I need him to target him 3, 4, or 5 times. But nah, just get them on the field to make them have to respect everybody. Because we already know, here's the fact. Jalin Hyatt's going to score a touchdown. How? I don't know. But he'll
score 2. I mean, just go ahead and take the bet.
But then you add Ced in the mix, and it's like, wow, okay, what can we do to confuse these guys? So for me, hopefully it's Cedric Tillman, but obviously if I have to pick somebody that I know who's going to start and who's going to get that first snap, it's Hendon Hooker as well. Defensively, really easy for me, bro. Secondary, I don't got a person. Somebody just guard somebody. Please.
Heard that.
Somebody. I don't care who it is. And with the hopeful return as well of Jalen McCullough from his 1-game suspension, I hope that he comes back, because I just didn't realize how much of it. For the back end now, it's not the fact that let's not give up yards. We're going to give up plays. Like, we're going to give up passes. We're going to give up yards. It's just, for sure, can we limit them to how many? Okay. And communication has a big thing to do with that. And Jalen McCullough has a lot of influence in that realm. So that's for me. Hey, y'all, one more thing. Turn know what's happening. We got to do it. It's early in the week. It's Tuesday, but score predictions. I'm actually going to start with you, Turner. When we talk about the score of this game, 4 zeros. I hate when people say triple zeros, because it's 4 zeros on the clock. You hear me? Where you going with this one?
I'm pretty confident about this one.
Okay, I'm listening.
38-17.
Who?
Tennessee.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, Austin.
Hey, Lance, we coming to you, bro. What's the final score of this game?
Well, it's not that. No, I'm playing. Man, I feel like there's going to be some shenanigans in this game. So I feel like the score is going to be like weird. Like, it's not going to be like, 35-28 or something like that. I feel like Kentucky will win this game. I'm going to say 42-38.
Wow. Okay.
I think
that's a lot of points.
Because there's no. I know that's what I'm saying. That we literally. I don't know how you guys won't score 4 touchdowns. Like, we're not a bad team, but like Alabama, you scored 52 points, counting the game-winning field goal. I mean, like, that's unbelievable. So like, what am I supposed to guess here? Like, we have to score points. There's literally no way there's no other way, because we're not going to keep you guys below 28. Really, I don't think. I mean, I don't know if we'll keep you out of the 30s, but I think if we can, run with you and make it interesting, then my prayer to the football gods above is that the pressure finally gets to Tennessee. If the game's close towards the end of the fourth quarter, I think that because Tennessee has more to lose on paper, that's what I'm praying bites you in the butt, is that the pressure gets there. Hendon Hooker, doesn't be the man at the end of the game. Like that's what has to happen. So I'm going to stick with 42-38. I think it's weird. I do think both teams will score defensive touchdowns. That's my hot take pick. I think both teams will score defensive touchdowns.
Okay.
I like it. Man, I am going to go with what I felt like since I knew this game was happening, and that is 41-28 Tennessee. And that's just because we're gonna score 40. And something weird happens. Like I agree. Like
that's a plausible score.
Something weird happens. I'm going 41-28, and it's like something in like the third quarter that it allows Tennessee to get up 14, and then Kentucky just can't. They don't have enough to get back in it. But because if we're trading sevens for a while, they can hang around. But
yeah.
So Lance, bro, thank you for hopping on today, bro. This is
thank you guys.
I'm telling y'all, these episodes, we plan for like 40 minutes and it always goes an hour because the conversation is just so good. So
this is so fun. I've dreamed of any reason to just ever talk about sports with my friends. So like this is great for me. And I don't know if you're planning on continuing the show into the basketball season, but
oh man, yeah, we are.
You know,
absolutely.
I'm into Kentucky football, but like y'all know, I am. Kentucky football.
We'll be back. You'll be back on the show twice before we know it, because Tennessee, Kentucky, man, that this year, man, it might be some of the best games we've ever seen.
Yeah,
we got to go. We should go to the one in Knoxville.
Oh yeah, mark me down.
Last game I went to was when PJ Washington cramped up in the second half, and he was keeping Grant Williams from everything, bro. Grant Williams, he was getting dominated by his daddy.
Yeah,
and then we lost that game.
Yeah,
and it was very sad. Now that was the first basketball game I ever took my wife to, and she got to watch my favorite team lose in my hometown. And you know what? She thought it was funny.
I bet she did. Hey, y'all, don't forget, man, like, comment, subscribe, join the channel. We are on our way to 100 subs on YouTube. Y'all, we've surpassed everything on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. Man, the subs are rolling. Reminder, we are all everywhere. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor. Man, we're going to be able to allow you to subscribe and join the team financially so that we can honestly just pour it right back into you guys, the Straight Up Tennessee family. Lance, thanks again. Turner, you got anything, bro, before we head on out of this thing today?
I'm ready to go.
Hey, y'all, Tennessee, Kentucky, Saturday, October 29th. Lance, again, bro, we love you, bro. Thank you.
Yes,
and y'all already know what it is. It's Straight Up Tennessee, baby. We out.